The story of Chassidic, everybody knows. I'm not going to tell the story. It's I'm sure that in the previous years for sure. What is it called? The magazine that had a complete write-up on it. I mean, it's an amazing story, and more stories are coming out. I was present, and I got to tell you, we did not realize all the gravity of the situation. Just after that, it was pale and sat down, and they brought water, and then everybody was cast out of shul, and the thousands, they broke the windows to bring in air, and the Rebbe is suffering a heart attack, and during the whole heart attack, Lamed Ches, as he continues uncompromised with the hakafas, and excruciating pain, walked up the stairs. The thousands of us were then standing outside, not knowing what was going on, and certainly had no idea of how serious this was and was becoming. Towards that night, it got far more serious, where it was a massive heart attack, and the Rebbe's life was physically in the balance. But it was building towards that, and he was in terrible pain, obviously. And I can never forget, so we're standing outside, and the Rebbe is going to the sukkah to make kiddush. He's making kiddush. They wanted to give him a grape juice, and I mean, there were doctors right away. They saw that whatever the doctors could see. And the Rebbe says, kiddush you make on wine. He's making kiddush on wine. And as he's walking from the door of 770 to the sukkah, just right outside, and he's come down to the sukkah, he's making to us like this. And after being a few minutes in the sukkah making kiddush, as he walks out, few people understood what's going on, but many guys stayed, didn't go home. And then word slipped out that this was extremely serious, and people walked to the oil, 2 shifts walked to the oil and back. And then only later was realized the gravity of the situation, and the story is recorded at great length. I'm just going to tell you something that's complete sidebar to all of this, which has happened to click on in this 24-hour Fabrengen, which started Motzei Shabbos and maybe still going. It's a Chassidic kiss, I don't see why it isn't. So Dr. Weiss, Ira Weiss, was requested from Chicago, was a young doctor, a brilliant young doctor, the protege of Dr. Tischoltz, who also came. It should be said that Dr. Weiss is Mesiras Nefesh, because he was traveling to New York constantly thereafter, and initially spent considerable time. His practice went, his partner left him, put tremendous strain on his family and marriage, but continued with complete devotion. And if you must have heard him speak, he's spoken over the years. It's an amazing thing, because he had this very close relationship, and it's a doctor relationship, not a chassid relationship. His love and his awe is no less than any chassid, despite even the banter and the sense of humor that he said that Rebbe would display constantly. And it was a very, human, friendly, if you even want to call it, relationship. Didn't diminish his awe, on the contrary. So he's telling a story. He was live, Motzei Shabbos, and it was just beautiful to see his love and his awe. And like at the end, they asked him to give a bracha to the shluchim. He takes that, it was on the table already, but he pours himself some wine, says l'chaim, and gives such a beautiful bracha to the shluchim, and the success and their shlichus. Anyway, so one of the stories he told was this. True, this, as I heard it, I was distracted about the things. I didn't get all the detail, but this is the gist of it. On one of his visits, he became the Rebbe's doctor, and the Rebbe's doctor. He would visit probably a few times a year. So on one occasion, it was as follows. Every 10 years, the graduates, he and his colleagues, they meet, they have a convention, and they share what they've been doing the last 10 years, and they write it up, and that's the memento of the convention, is a publication. So whatever, I don't recall which year it was, I didn't hear, I came a little bit late, whatever it was, that was the 10 years, the first 10 years. So the Rebbe said, I'm sure, whatever you'd like to be there, and it's also a social thing, friends. and I feel badly that you're not there. She says to the Rebbe that, well, God willing, to be the next 10 years, the next 10 years. So I'm pretty sure it didn't end up going. That wasn't the point, but this was the point. The Rebbe asks him, he describes to the Rebbe what happens, and the book that's published. The Rebbe said, I want you to read the entire book. It's 300 pages. She says, but well, they're not all my friends. I mean, I'm friends with half of them, not all of them. In other words, it's like to keep up with what they're doing. So I realize, but I'm asking you, please, if you would read the entire book for me. So for me. So the Rebbe asked him to read through the entire book, which he did. As a result of reading through the book, he reads that one of his colleagues started something experimental with respect, I think it's liver disease, advanced liver disease. And he had a patient or knew of someone that was suffering from exactly this and made the shidduch, and she was healed and subsequently married, this is years later, and lived. He says, absolutely, undoubtedly, there was experimental, had I not hooked them up, gone through the regular medical course of the day, she would not have survived. It was a cancer. So then, he just smiles and says, the Rebbe's insistence, I think he liked it more than once. He said, but they're not, please read the whole book. Literally saved this person's life. Side story, and one more with him that I heard from him myself. One year I was in Chicago. I forgot why I went to speak, but it was at the Kislev, Yud remember? Maybe Shchedish Kislev. Yeah, Shchedish Kislev. So after the formal speech, there was a Fabrengen which he attended, Dr. Weiss, and he related, he used to play the violin. So he used to play for the Rebbetzin. And he learned to play the song, Kine Kachoymer, Kine Kachoymer. And he said, the Rebbetzin said, that she loved it very much, and she said it's one of her favorite nigunim. Not sure whether it was her favorite nigun before he started playing, or since he took the trouble to learn to play the nigun, it became her favorite nigun, or one of her favorite nigunim. Either way, it was sincerely one of her favorite nigunim, and he shared that with us. With Yom Tov, we're going to daven, and should be an inspiring Rish Chodesh that spills into the entire month, the entire year, into our lives, our homes, and the environment around us. Good Yom Tov, good Yom Tov.
Yesher Koyach.
Chaim, good Yom Tov. Good Yom Tov, Michelle. Wonderful day.